holding them tight. The show is so long, my fingers are bleeding, and my stomach's so long. Don't stop watching, don't stop watching me. Don't stop watching, don't stop watching me. I'm watching the headlights as they spell out the road. It's 3 in the morning and I'm heading for home. Don't stop watching, don't stop watching me. Don't stop watching, don't stop watching me. It's 3 in the morning, got a cigarette hanging from the corner of my mouth. I'm leaving brick Vegas, feels like I'm coming down. Don't stop watching me. Don't stop watching me. I'm a kind of not I'm dead in my clothes. It hurts to be famous, and all it makes me feel old. Don't stop watching, don't stop watching me. Don't stop watching, don't stop watching me. Don't. It's only a game. It's only a game. It's only a game. I'm the guy who's lonely and look at me, I look at my song. I'm the guy who always says, hey, look at me, I look at my song. I'm the guy who always says, hey, look at me, I look at my song. There never was in the world together. clock turning around, and I'm watching the future winding down. This planet's a cesspool, maybe it's time we all died. There's hams in my pocket and hooks in my hair. I could side with the devil, but who really cares? Now God is a dollar, his priests are the teller machines. I can't get a handle on this thing called life. I've tried salvation and I've tried a wife, but nothing can save me, I'm just not a part of the team. Well, the hands of the clock are turning around, and I'm watching the future winding down. This planet's a cesspool, maybe it's time we all died. I asked my mother, but she couldn't explain why so many people seem to think it's a game. 'Cause life ain't no party, even a baby
mean, in seriousness, if we ever have the kids, we need to get them used to it before we do anything.
My idea of the perfect night is to lie beside you and hold you tight while you dream about me. My idea of the perfect day is to get in the car and drive away from the city. In the car. On the road I can see the stars, and I know somehow, somewhere out past Mars they see me. As I drive, even though they live out there, they can tell I'm smiling, and I know they care about me and my world. My friend Rory says the world's not bad. It spins in circles and it drives you mad if you let it. So you don't. Tell your neighbor that you're feeling fine. Even when he knows you're lying, you feel better. So will you. On the road I can see the stars, and I know somehow, somewhere out past Mars they see me. As I drive, even though they live out there, they can tell I'm smiling, and I know they care about me and my world. Now and then you'll meet a girl who makes you smile and brings the sun from the morning to your world. My idea of the perfect night is to lie beside you and hold you tight while you dream about me.
I mean, in seriousness, if we ever have the kids, we need to get them used to it before we do anything.
My idea of the perfect night is to lie beside you and hold you tight while you dream about me. My idea of the perfect day is to get in the car and drive away from the city. In the car. On the road I can see the stars, and I know somehow, somewhere out past Mars they see me. As I drive, even though they live out there, they can tell I'm smiling, and I know they care about me and my world. My friend Rory says the world's not bad. It spins in circles and it drives you mad if you let it. So you don't. Tell your neighbor that you're feeling fine. Even when he knows you're lying, you feel better. So will you. On the road I can see the stars, and I know somehow, somewhere out past Mars they see me. As I drive, you and hold you tight while you dream about me.
This world somehow keeps spinning like it has from the beginning, though they drill it full of holes. The air we've had to burn has been filling up with dirt, and now the planet's choking. The world is full of liars, with the children of the buyers inheriting control. With what their parents learned, their souls forever burn, and their money fuels the fire. The suckers dig the holes, while the buyers take the gold and make it their master. And they learn more every day, like just how a little pay can make the peasants work faster. In the homes they'll never own, they are crying all alone, 'cause they hate their existence. Their sweat will fill the pool that sends the biased kids to school so they can learn more about money.
Show man mercy is weak. 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 Show man mercy is weakness.
Their lawyers make the rules, and we follow them like fools, 'cause we just don't remember that we all come from the womb, and we'll all end in the tomb, or a small glowing ember. So what's in it for me? Is my lifestyle guaranteed? Is my whole life just a number on a page? Is it even worth a try when you know you're gonna die and nobody will remember? The swell somehow keeps spinning like it has from the beginning, though they drill it full of holes. The air we've had since birth has been filling up with dirt. Now the planet's choking. Then lawyers make the rules, and we follow them like fools. 'Cause we face don't remember
on its belly it crawls.
that we all come from the womb, and we all
belly
live
it
in the
crawls.
tomb. With snow blowing embers.
On its belly it crawls.
Ground control to Major Tom. Ground control to Major Tom. Take your protein pills and put your helmet on. 10, ground control to Major Tom. 8, 7, 6, commencing countdown, engines on. 3, 2, check ignition and may God's love be with you. This is ground control to Major Tom. You've really made the grade. And the papers want to know whose shirts you wear. Now it's time to leave the capsule if you dare. This is Major Tom to ground control. I'm feeling very scared, and I'm floating
was bitten by the music way back then when I was 17. I knew right then that disco sucked and rock and roll was king. The music drilled a hole right through my head like a bullseye and a dart. That's when I felt the lead guitar put a bullet through my heart. People say the devil lives in me, but I think that they're insane. It's only 'cause the beat of rock and roll made a home inside my brain. You'd have to break my heart to get it out, and the fire from my eyes. But I love the beat, so I let it stay, and I won't apologize.
But my hands are tied. I could never find Jesus. I heard that he died, so the promise is broken. Nobody knows what to say. Your head could explode from the drugs you take. You're wondering why your hands still shake. You're feeling okay now, but how will you feel tonight? Well, the hands of the clock are turning around, and I'm watching the future winding down. This planet's a cesspool. Maybe it's time we all died. There's hands in my pocket and hooks in my hair. I could side with the devil, but who really cares? Now God is $1. His priests are the teller machines. I can't get a handle on this thing called life. I've tried salvation and I've tried a wife, but nothing can save me. I'm just not a part of the team. Well, the hands of the clock are turning around, and I'm watching the future winding down. This planet's a cesspool. Maybe it's time we all died. I asked my mother, but she couldn't explain why so many people seem to think it's a game. 'Cause life ain't no party, even a baby can play. clocker, turn it around. Now I'm watching the future winding down. This planet's a cesspool, maybe it's time we all died. I can't stop the screaming that goes on in my head. It keeps me from sleeping, I'd be better off dead. There's no light in the tunnel, nothing can show me the way. If you're listening to me, Lord of the earth, give me an answer, what are my words? 'Cause I feel like a poor man, life's a bill I can't pay. Well, I answer the clocker, turn it around, and I'm watching the future winding down. This planet's a cesspool, maybe it's time we all die.
The exile. She surely raised her banes well and taught us strength and pride, gave us love our homeland, but could not make us bide. We set off young, we set off old, in search of pastures new, yet one by one, along life's way, find little that would do. We have our homes, we make a life on every foreign shore, choose a husband, find a wife, and yet we still yearn for more. To soothe a restless and aching heart, we chase another scheme, follow one more rainbow, and yet we still never dream. I should let us go so easily, with never a backward look, but how could we know as we sailed or flew, our hearts was a baited hook. With a line as long as we want it to be, to wherever we may roam, till out of the blue, with a sharp tug, Mother Scotland reels us home.
Thank you, Ali. We've come together this afternoon to farewell Ronald Graham Lee, a man known by many names throughout his life, from Ronnie in his childhood to Ron and Billy Badluck in his adulthood, and even as Old Bill to the people in Rosebery, where this chameleon of a man finally settled after a lifetime of wandering where his heart led him and making friends wherever he went. On behalf of his children, Cass, Chris, and his partner, Margie, his siblings, both living and departed, and his numerous grandkiddos, I welcome those of you here in the room with us, and also the many relatives and friends around the world who are with us virtually, who were unable to be here in person. Ron was a dearly loved father, brother, granddad, and friend. I thank you all for being here today to celebrate the life of this remarkable man. This funeral service has many purposes. Of course, it is for the reverent farewell of Ron, but it also recognises and acknowledges the value of his life and confirms that his life has ended and helps those he leaves behind to face the reality of his passing. Here, we will mourn him leaving us, honour his life and death, reverently farewell his body, and comfort one another. Ron believed that death was just a part of life, part of a cycle, not just an end, but also a new beginning. In respect for this belief, we will now take a moment to honour Scotland, the country of his birth, much of his family's heritage, and Ron's personal spiritual home. Join us now in a few moments of quiet reflection as thistles, the national flower of Scotland, are placed on Ron's coffin while we play the Proclaimers' song, Sunshine on Leith, chosen by Sister Patricia.
My heart was broken. My heart was broken. Sorrow, 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 sorrow. My heart was broken. My heart was broken. You saw it. You claimed it, you touched it, you saved it. My tears are drying, my tears are drying. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. My tears are drying. My tears are drying. Your beauty and kindness made tears clear my blindness, while I'm worth my room on this earth. I will be with you. While the chief with sunshine on leaf, I'll thank him for his work and your birth and my birth. Yeah, yeah, yeah. My heart was broken. My heart was broken. Sorrow, 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 sorrow. My heart was broken. My heart was broken. You saw it. You claimed it, you touched it, you saved it. While I'm worth my room on this earth, I will be with you. While the chief with sunshine on leaf, I'll thank him for his work and your birth and my birth. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Ron was, in his soul, a proud Scot, fiercely frugal and hating waste, yet so generous that at times he left himself short. He lived life to its fullest, loved passionately and often, created across multiple media like most people breathe, and was always ready to lend his skills, knowledge, wise advice, or a hand to anyone he met. Ron was a man who was rather introverted and never liked to be the centre of attention. His alter ego, Billy, revelled in the spotlight. But Ron was always happiest in much quieter, more intimate surrounds. He would want little fuss and no tears. But today is his day. He is the centre of our thinking. and I'm sure many stories will be shared both here and at the wake at the Mallee Grill after the service that will cause loads of laughter and not a small amount of awe. Ron was a very unique man, a most discerning, intelligent man who wrote poetry and stories, lyrics and the melodies to go with them, talents that he shared willingly. He was witty, he was sensitive, he was loved by most on sight and by many more once they got to know him. He loved nature, although his pale Scottish skin and dislike of the cold often almost made it seem nature didn't love him back. He loved all animals, and they loved him back. He could tame the most feral in moments, a real-life Dr. Dolittle. He raised his beloved cat JJ from before his birth, naming him Jimmy Jr. after his mother, Jimmy, who was thought to be a male, until the mistake became obvious when he gave birth. Ron raised JJ after his Jimmy's untimely demise, which led to JJ becoming a fur baby who resembles the man, as his upbringing didn't really teach him how to be a cat. To tell us more about Ron's life, I call upon his beloved baby sister, Patricia, to present his eulogy.
I was just looking at this guitar here because I saved that once from an old flame. It's lucky it's here because I nearly wore it, I think. She wasn't real happy. Ronald Graham Lee was from Leith in Scotland, and he was a proud Scot. Leith, just outside Edinburgh, is famous for original golf rules, the wine bottle design, the proclaimers, of course. Even J.K. Rowling wrote part of Harry Potter in a coffee shop there. But best of all is the Lee family clan were born there. Kenneth, Ronald and Patricia. Our dad Ben decided with our Welsh mum Mary we would embark on a new big adventure to Australia as 10-pound poms. Ronnie and I hated that term, so we were 10-pound Scots. I guess we were part of the centuries-old war, and we loved that passion and fight together. So in April 1960, we boarded the Strathnaver. By the way, being on the same ship, beating Jimmy Barnes by a year. He was only from Glasgow, though. Another rivalry for us. So with Jimmy and Eric, our half-brothers, and while our half-sister stayed to get married in London, Mum's children from her first marriage, we began the journey, stopping in Melbourne for 9 months, where Jimmy decided to stay, then Sydney for 6 years, where Eric joined the Navy. So then it was off to our permanent childhood home of Brighton, Brisbane, Queensland for the three of us. We always gave Dad heaps as we went flying past the Gold Coast and not stopping, as there was one TV technician there already, he said. But he loved the look of Sandgate Redcliffe. I think it reminded him of home, where he could fish and enjoy the seaside. And what a great place to grow up in. We could ride our bikes everywhere and enjoy the beachfront. Ronnie would be seen riding his off-yellow dragster with high sissy bar and the banana seat on most days. Ron's girl trouble started early in life. At school, he ran off to Charters Towers with a broken heart. Mum and Dad went on a road trip to get him back, but little sister here refused to go as leave-bound sailor Eric promised to take me to the beach theatre at Sandgate to see the Yellow Submarine. And funny enough, Ronnie worked there later as a DJ and a projectionist, and I lost all my single records because of him. It went up in flames, the old theatre, one night. So all his life he was chasing women. He would say that they were chasing him. He used to say he wished he could find a woman like his sister. Well, we all know he's kept on trying hard. I guess you just can't marry your cousin. So at school he was always top of the class. Once I got third in my grade. I was so proud and happy. But Ronnie took the school report to forge Mum's signature. Never saw that again. And it really annoyed me how he schemed up ways of getting out of school, and yet he still was first in class. I worked hard for that third. For him it was effortless and boring sometimes, so he began his unsettledness, and he was always moving on to new things to feed his mind. Life at Brighton was full of days of fun outside. You had to make the most of it all with what you had in front of you. One time the brothers coaxed me down to under the church down the road to have a puff. As a 10-year-old coughing away, I was like the stupidest thing to do, I thought. Best thing they did for me. Never touched them again, but they kept going, sadly. I was under the church, but really I wanted to be in the church, so I loved Sunday school. And some Sundays I had to go out fishing while my brothers stayed home. But I did get my free Bible, and I'm a great fisherwoman because of that. Thanks, brothers. Sometimes I thought Big Brother Ken was put on this earth to annoy me and Ronnie. But sometimes they would gang up together, and I still have scars on my chin from French cricket, where on purpose they get me really close to the ball and hit me under the chin with the bat. Lucky I've grown 2 other chins over the years. One incident the boys were laughing at so much was one cracker night I looked down at a double bunger sizzling away in my dressing gown pocket, throwing it out at the time, and exploded in the air, but not as much as Mum did. Revenge was in the air when Ronnie lived in Scotland for 3 years, and my kids, Robert and Rebecca, and I went over for a white Christmas of 2007. It just so happened he lived across the road from a fireworks factory. I knew he hated the commercial side of Christmas, so I had bought over a Santa pinata. He bashed that to smithereens. So New Year we got a few rockets and Catherine wheels, Dad's favourite, and put Santa's head on a rocket. It went high up in the sky but changed course, coming down chasing Beck. But do you think I could trip Beck up so Ronnie could get in the way? No. His love of music started in his late teens, which was great for me to hang around and look at his mates. I got to grab one for a while, horrifying my dad, but it wasn't too deep because he was only the bass player. But Ronnie went from strength to strength. It was his passion and true love. He played in Dublin and Scotland, one of his dreams. When I went back, we drove down to Wales to see our grandparents' graves, and we couldn't find them for a while because they were overgrown, but he was in the pub with some new Welsh mates, and then right on dark we found him, so that was good. Ronnie, I wish I could save your life again as I did in Sydney when you got stuck in the dunny at 6 years old, but you got nearly 60 more years out of that. Everyone tried to get you out. Watching from the trees on my swing, I quietly went back and forged a runway. hitting the door at full speed with my 4-year-old legs. I got my brother out beaming, telling people all his life I saved him. But you lived your life hard and your way. But I would walk 500 miles and kick you up the butt, and then I'd walk 500 more and do it again. Yes, you've taken me from happiness to misery now that I can't ring you and talk about our childhood, our adventures and life itself, and me outwitting you. But you were my sunshine on leaf, all right. That shone throughout my life, my guiding light, my philosopher of living. Our cousins came to live in Australia for 5 years. It was really great having blood relatives around, and when he lived in Scotland, we caught up with him. He was so proud to have a job as a bus driver, finishing his shift at Queensferry at the famous Forth Bridge, next to an inn, he told me, where Robert Louis Stevenson wrote Kidnapped. Brother of a lifetime, you and Ken both toughened me up for life without you knowing, all that tormenting, always there for me, from fixing my old Holden car to helping me spend my $1 note I found at Shorncliffe for a big bag of lollies. We were sick as. Your love of life never had a dull moment, from living out of a bus to chasing mushrooms in a field of dreams, or the other way round, chasing dreams in a field of mushrooms. So Ron, who was unique, kind, funny, happy, creative, caring, smart, witty person. We came to Australia with no relatives. I think that's why we loved adventures and we hold on to our friends really close. Ken was a Viking type, living off the land. You could see him eating half a cow, the loner, where Ron was more the gypsy type, wandering and playing music, having fun with people. And he'd look after the cow. He wouldn't eat it. Like the time he brought a seagull home and had it in the laundry because it had a sore wing. Well, Brother Ron, I'm going to take a leaf out of your book. See, I outwitted you there. And continue on our great adventure, Australian adventure, and do my brothers proud. I'm going to miss you so much. You've had a life well lived. Oh, Ronnie boy, the pipes are calling, and you must go, and I must stay. I'm going to try and say this, Slan Java, which means cheers in Scottish. You can join Mum, Dad, Ken, our pets, Trixie, Laddie, Nelson, Tammy, the cat, and all the birds, especially Polly. God will welcome you with open arms in heaven.com. Billy, bad luck. Without you, sadly, I have joined the unfortunates.
Thank you, Trish. Well done. We now have the privilege to look at photographs of aspects of Ron's life that have been collected from family albums. His son Chris has put these together and chosen original music of Ron's to accompany them.
There never was tell me to stay. Drops fall like the tears I made run down your face. All that time I wasted when I could have been with you. All those nights you couldn't sleep, not knowing what to do. Can't believe I let you feel that way. Forgive me, I can't believe I pushed your heart away. Trying to find an inner light, I kept you in the dark. All I had to do was take you walking in the park. Now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord your soul to keep. I know there is no star for you. I wonder if I am one too. Now I am 1,000 miles away, without you, trying to find a reason for the day. It's hard to go on living when I know what I have lost. I had my selfish pleasure and now I play the cost. I hope somehow you learned again to smile. There's something crying never was your kind of style. Time they say heals all wounds, but it never will heal mine. Peering through my darkness, I still can see you shine. Now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord your soul to keep. I know there is no star for you. I wonder if I am one too. Now I lay me down to sleep. 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 Pray the Lord your soul to keep. Now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord your soul to keep.
I mean, in seriousness, if we ever have the kids, we need to get them used to it before we do need to.
My idea of the perfect night is to lie beside you and hold you tight while you dream about me. My idea of the perfect day is to get in the car and drive away from the city. In the car, on the road I can see the stars, and I know somehow, somewhere out past Mars they see me as I drive. Even though they live out there, they can tell I'm smiling, and I know they care about me and my world. drives you mad if you let it. So you don't. Tell your neighbour that you're feeling fine. Even when he knows you're lying, you feel better. So will you. On the road I can see the stars, and I know somehow, somewhere out past Mars they see me as I drive. Even though they live out there, they can tell I'm smiling, and I know they care about me and my world. Now and then you meet a girl who makes you smile and brings the sun from the morning to your world. My idea of the perfect night is to lie beside you and hold you tight while you dream about me.
What great memories you have. Ron was a lifelong lover of science fiction. In it he found entertainment, inspiration, hope, and at times much food for thought. He shared this interest with his father, kiddos and grandkiddos, and in the absence of his own words, his daughter Cass has gathered some mostly sci-fi adjacent quotes that she terms daddish words from the mouths of others, as a tribute to Ron as her father and some of the things he and science fiction taught her. Thanks, Cass.
Because I'm a chicken, I'm bringing his grandson Ryan too. So, sort of funny as it is. All right, so I do love quotations because it's, to literally use a quotation to say so, a joy to find thoughts one might have beautifully expressed with much authority by someone recognised as wiser than oneself. And I know Dad loved them too. And in the spirit of that too, just, I'm sorry that in some of this I'll see you happy and it's going to break my heart. But that's the point of being, what is the point of being happy now if we're just going to be sad later? But the answer is, of course, that we are going to be sad later. And I know that Dad believed very strongly in grabbing the happiness while you have it. And so I, kind of warn you, because those of you who are science fiction heads like we all are probably going to get some laughs in between the crying. Sorry. Some people live more in 20 years than others do in 80. It's not the time that matters, it's the person. It was said by the 10th Doctor in one of Moffat's episodes, go figure. But it's true of Dad too. He was only 65 when he died, but he did so much. He went so many places, met so many people, had so many different parts to his life that, even his family, we don't know them all. It's a lot, and more to do, I'm afraid, but when you think about it, we are all different people all through our lives, and that's okay. It's good that he got to keep moving so long, and he remembered all the people he used to be. I'll not forget one line of this, not one day. I swear I always remember when the doctor was me, which is funny because he kind of was. like Doctor Who in a lot of ways for me in a lot of things. He was also a bit of a hermit with friends. Hermits United. We meet up every 10 years, swap stories about caves. It's good fun for a hermit, which, yeah, was kind of him too. Can you read this one? No? Okay. Matt Smith popped up in here quite a bit, I think, but something that's very true of Dad. I am and always will be the optimist, the hoper of far-flung hopes and dreamer of improbable dreams. And, well, of course he was being childish because, like the Fourth Doctor, he thought there was no point in being grown up if you can't be childish sometimes. Dad, I was going to be with you forever, at least as long as that lasted. When you got sick, we had plans. And I know you said 5 to 10 years, and I was an arse and told you 20, but 2 months isn't quite either of those figures, so I'm a bit annoyed. Just quietly. But no matter what, I know he believed in me and Chris and what we could do as a family. So even though he's not going to be here to do it with us, and he literally can't do his job of letting it be his fault. Sorry, Dad, that's going to have to be my job now. You gotta have courage, just like he did, because courage isn't the matter of not being frightened. It's being afraid and doing what you have to do anyway. Just like Arthur C. Clarke, Dad probably only found 2 priceless things in his life, though maybe he'd say 4. Since I know that he counted us kids and, goodness, all the grandchildren as very much worthwhile. But, Arthur C. Clarke said that learning and loving, nothing else, not fame, not power, nor achievement for its own sake, can possibly have the same lasting value. For when your life is over, if you can say, I have learned and I have loved, you will also be able to say, I have been happy. And I think everyone who knew Dad knew that that was something that he probably would have said. Dad believed that progress wasn't made by early risers. He was very sure it was made by lazy men trying to find easier ways to do something. Robert Hyland said that, but Dad said things to the same effect many times. And he was also positive that the universe was full of intelligent life, but just that they'd been too intelligent to come here. Dad did believe that life was infinitely better than the alternative. And I presume, because he hasn't come back to tell us differently, that that's still the case. He was always ready to poke a stick at something that didn't make sense, usually with snarky, sarcastic stuff. And he was ever ready to come up with nitwit ideas for emergencies. They're what you use when you've got nothing else to try. If they work, they go in the book. Otherwise, you follow the book, which is largely a collection of nitpick ideas that worked. Unfortunately for us, as much as we would like it, we haven't been able to find his book, or any of them really, but he was always good with crazy ideas that just seemed to work. Dad knew it was worth it to try, even if you fail, even if you fall like a meteor forever. He thought it was better to have flamed in the darkness and to have inspired others, which he did in spades, to have lived than to sat in the darkness cursing people who borrowed but did not return your candle, or, as the case may be, people who borrowed but smashed your car. Because for Dad, things didn't matter, not anywhere near as much as people did. And that's always been it. It is sucky that right now we have to go through the part of the deal, the pact, that grief and love are forever intertwined, that grief is the terrible reminder of the depths of our love, and like love, grief is just non-negotiable. He would have loved that I found one from Nick Cave because he thought he was awesome. Personally, couldn't really see what the big deal was. Dad was a man who often argued with history. In fact, was usually the first in line to do so. And to quote Pratchett, of all the funny people, as in The Voice of Death, don't think of it as dying, just think of it as leaving early to avoid the rush. He never did like peak hour traffic. And had to put Star Trek in there too. We've got that, where he's gone now is a far, far better thing than he's ever done before, and he's gone to a far better resting place than he's ever known. Oh, and always take a banana to a party, which he did with the help of his granddaughter Ali. As much as it hurts right now, I know that Dad was always right when he said things about how, the crisis of today was the joke of tomorrow. And if you look back at a lot of our lives, that happened a lot. I haven't got there yet. We haven't got there yet, but I know we will. But like everybody, Dad's life is a pile of good things and bad things. The good things don't always soften the bad things, but vice versa, the bad things don't always spoil the good things and make them unimportant. Thank God Dad never listened to his intellect, at least not in important things, because if he did, he'd never have had any love affairs, and he had many. He'd never have had friendship, and he had many of those. He'd never have done anything because he'd be too cynical. It's going to go wrong, or it's going to hurt me. I've had a couple of bad love affairs, so therefore, that's nonsense. He was never going to miss life. He always was ready to jump off the cliff at the time and build his wings on the way down. If he was here to talk to us, instead of just sitting there, or what's left of him, I know he would say, "Let no one weep for me or celebrate my funeral with mourning, for I still live. As I pass to and fro through the mouths of men, but, sorry, Dad, weeping is going to happen right now. And although life was pleasant and death is probably peaceful, the transition was a bit troublesome. For me, if not for him. But of all the souls I have encountered in my travels, he was the most human. He lived, which is such a rare thing, instead of existing. And he did many things that weren't fun or smart, that were just standing up and making a decision because nobody else will. His life was always stranger than fiction, but it kind of makes sense because fiction has to be convincing and life doesn't. But in the end, death is not important. Everything that happens before death is what counts. And he did such a good job that even death can't spoil it. Dad had the gift of the capacity to learn, the ability to learn that was a skill, and always chose to be willing to learn. Well, almost always. So, hold each other in the darkness. It doesn't make the darkness go away. The bad things are still out there. The nightmare's still walking. Hold each other so we feel not safe but better. It's all right, we whisper. I'm here, I love you. And we lie, I'll never leave you. For just a moment or two, the darkness doesn't seem so bad. Dad, you suck. You lied and you left. And I know he didn't want to go. I know he wasn't necessarily ready. But at the end of his life, we can all look back and realise that he celebrated it and didn't waste it. Yeah. Sorry, guys. I'm done. I can't anymore. Sorry.
Thank you, Cassie. Incredibly difficult to bring all those memories together. Ron was a man with an incredibly active mind, as Cass has told us. He was a deep thinker who could talk to anyone about almost anything. A powerful intellect, and he had an innate creativity that is rarely, if ever, stopped gnawing at a problem until he had solved it. To paraphrase Isaac Asimov, he wrote for the same reason he breathed, because if he didn't, he would die. Ron's lack of awareness of how exceptional his talents, skills, and kindness really made him, and his own insistence that he was just doing what anyone would do, meant that unless performing as Bill Badluck, he rarely accepted the credit for the positive impact he made in the lives of others. Never one to care about acclaim, money, or possessions, it was his love of people and Billy's love of performing that gave him the most joy. His family, both biological and chosen, were the centre of his life and his biggest reason for living. Ron, you were anything but ordinary, and our world is a sadder place without you in it. It might help us to know that in your words and those of Sir Terry Pratchett, you felt death is nature's way of telling you to slow down, that you did not fear it, and that you had no more desire to live past your time than to die before it. An incredible life. Chris.
By all accounts, my dad was a kind and generous man with an incredible intellect, and my experience has been no different. People meant something to Dad. He once fought not once but twice with an acquaintance, losing a tooth each time before making him a bestie in the true Aussie spirit. He kept the teeth as a memento. My point is, Dad had good intentions for the person involved despite the worst situation, and he was also a very forgiving man. And the reason for this was because he was very good at seeing the best in people and will go to extremes to show people the good in themselves. Dad was also a philosophical man. And this shows in his music, the way that he dealt with people, and most of all in his actions. Above all, though, he was about family, in that he gave up multiple chances at fame and fortune to instead be with family. Not to say that he gave up entirely, just put some items on the back burner that he thought could wait till later. Towards the end of his life, he worked tirelessly so that he could leave his children and their descendants a milestone in finances and a creative legacy that will live on in the hearts of family, friends and fans alike. I'll miss the philosophical conversations we had about life. I will miss my dad, and I strive every day to be like him. Because my dad was a beautiful person. No one can replace him or the hole in our hearts that he leaves behind.
Thank you, Chris. Cassie.
I haven't placed to put that anymore, but that's the one that I was telling you about earlier where friends sent it. But it
Vicky and Anthony. Okay, thank you. A tribute that was sent this morning, or yesterday from friends Vicky and Anthony Cheshire. Ron Lee has been a friend since we were introduced over 40 years ago at a weekend away playing Dungeons and Dragons with pen, paper and lots of imagination. He had that in truckloads. It was a weekend full of laughter and dreams that led to a lasting relationship, one of those old mates relationships that means so much. He has been a constant source of friendship to us, albeit long-distance friendship, as we each moved into different places across Australia. We kept in touch mostly through phone calls, but once in a while, fortune allowed our paths to cross, and we had a day or two always relaxing in each other's company, knowing that true friends don't judge. True friends just pick up from where they left off, with a few tales of what's happened in our lives in the meantime. We have seen each other become parents and grandparents, sharing life's tales of love, hardships, travel and achievements. We always valued his creative style, his poetry expressed in music, and his quirky way of looking at the world, his belief in higher planes of existence and extraterrestrial life that was very real to him. The world has lost a clever person that as a young man never fitted into the path of normal. He was a person who loved too much, gave his heart too freely, and sought shelter from his own fears. In his early days, he was a lost soul in a terrifying world of judgment and discipline. In his last few years, he became a man to have a great chat with, to share his quirky wisdom and experience. There was nothing Ron wouldn't do to help. His love of true friendship was rewarding to those who were still just a phone call away. Rest in peace, Ron. We know he's now in touch with that higher plane of existence. How lovely. So it is now time that we need to lay this incredible and unique human to rest. Would you please stand? Tenderly and reverently, we commit the body of Ronald Graham Lee to the elements, and ultimately to Mother Earth, from which all life comes and to which in the end all life returns. Earth to earth, ashes to ashes, dust to dust, grateful for the life that has been lived and for all that has meant to us. May we remember the breadth of his love, the depths of his kindness, and all the special ways that he did indeed touch our lives. I have no doubt that all of you here are grateful for Ron's life, for the life that has been lived and for what it has meant to you personally. We are glad that he lived. We are glad that he was part of our life. We cherish the memories we have of him, and we know he will never be forgotten. May tender memories soften your grief. May fond recollections bring you relief. And may you find comfort and peace when thinking of Ron. In Ron's name, I leave you with an admonition from the first Doctor Who, William Hartnell. Quote, "One day I shall come back. Yes, I shall come back. Until then, there must be no regrets, no tears, no anxieties. Just go forward in all your beliefs and prove to me that I am not mistaken in mine." Oh, and on behalf of Billy Badluck, in the words of Douglas Adam, who was possibly Ron's favourite author, so long and thanks for the fish. And one final thing. Ron left instructions with his best friend that the full length of Agada Duvada, whatever, by Iron Butterfly, be played. So he is going to be taken out to this song so as to carry him out with style. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
In a garden of freedom, honey, don't you know that I'm loving you? In a garden of freedom, baby, don't you know that I'll always be true? Oh, won't you come with me and take my hand? Oh, won't you come with me and walk this line? Please take my hand. Let me tell you that. In a garden of Eden, honey, don't you know that I'm loving you? In a garden of Eden, baby, don't you know that I'm